So I'm going to be totally honest with you guys, I really did not expect my hot take videos to get as good of a reception as they did, to the point where every single video I make, I have people commenting hot takes. But honestly, I'm not mad at this because it does just mean you guys like these videos, so I will continue to make them until you guys don't want them anymore. So let's talk about more Ninjago hot takes. And like with every other of the videos, there is a small criteria to it, but I will also say that it is just a bit more of a standard layout. Basically being, I'm going in essentially blind, so these videos are a lot more rambly, I guess. But also, I do just want to take some hot takes that are more of an interesting topic piece, because if I don't talk about one that's at least a little bit interesting, it wouldn't make for a great video. And honestly, it means a lot of you do want to talk more about these opinions, because it does create interesting discussion. But yeah, let's not waste any more time and let's talk about Ninjago hot takes. And I will say, before I even get into it though, there was a lot of comments about Season 11, so that was interesting to see. That seems to be the thing that a lot of people took from the last one. A lot of people basically defending Season 11. And honestly, I do agree with the fact that Season 11 doesn't deserve as much hate as it did, but I will say that mostly applies to the Ice chapter, but that was last episode. So if you do want to talk more about Season 11, go there, or if I get a lot more about Season 11 from this video, I will continue to talk about it. And honestly, I do just need to make a Season 11 season review, so that's going to be in the future. But yeah, let's get into some of the other ones. But the first one is gonna come from Green Bean 27. How are you, my friend? And you have a few, so let's get into them. The first one, the final battle was pointless. If the first Ninjutsu master knew that the Overlord couldn't be destroyed because of the balance, why did the Green Ninja prophecy? Or why have the Green Ninja prophecy? So, I understand what you mean. I do think this comes down to the fact that they weren't gonna bring back the Overlord, and obviously Ninjago was gonna end in Season 2. But yeah, it does feel a little pointless because obviously you got the final battle in Season 2, you've got Zane versus the Overlord in Season 3, the Overlord came back in Decoded, that was a whole nother thing, and then obviously you got Crystallized. And people think that the Overlord's going to return in Dragon's Rising as well. But I understand what you mean, but I think it's more of the symbolism of it. It's the Overlord's true form, as he said, was officially destroyed, and the Overlord needed a vessel from that point onwards. So yes, I do agree, it does feel a little pointless, but it doesn't take away from how good Season 2 was, or at least the ending of it. So, yeah, I do agree with you for the most part, but it doesn't take away from it for me. Well, actually, the best summary of it would be that it's not pointless, I just think it's a little underwhelming because it doesn't have as much meaning anymore. But I do also understand your point. Yeah, second hot take is Avatar Lloyd is overhated. Sure, the minifigure is terrible, but in the show it isn't that bad. Honestly, I never knew there was a lot of hate against Avatar Lloyd. I know a lot of people like Superstar Rockin' J. I know people like Kai's one as well. I've never really heard people talk about the Lloyd one. So if that is a hot take, I wouldn't actually know. But I mean, I really like the minifigure as well. So I guess I disagree with you technically. But yeah, I don't think it's overhated because I haven't really seen any hate for it. Your third one, the love triangle arc, isn't that big of a deal. Personally, I found it funny. I think it has an interesting merit to it. I think the love, as much as I don't like the love triangle, I think it was good because it led to that really good fight between Cole and Jay in Season 4. So I liked the byproduct of it. I didn't like it in Season 3 because it felt a little out of nowhere. I know the theory goes that the Overlord was the one who manipulated it to make the ninja a bit more splintered, but I understand what you mean. So I get why it's funny, but yeah, I do think it's not that big of a deal. And I think it served its purpose in the end. So yeah, I will agree with you on that. And the last one, I feel like it's going to be controversial, but oh well. The Ninja's DX suits are one of the worst suits? What? No, okay, I will say, they're not top 10. They're not a top 10 suit. This is where I need to make a suit ranking. But I love the DX suits. I don't know if that's because I own Lloyd DX. I mean, I think I'm a little biased because I have got that minifigure, but I really like him. I think it's a really cool blend. Like, the 90s hood looks great with them, and obviously Lloyd doesn't have it, but the arm looks great as well. And they're just cool looking dragon prints. Yes, the dragon print has been done better in other suits, I will say that. I think, for example, the Legacy suits does the dragon print really well, but I don't think they're the worst. What is the worst suit? I'll save it for that video. But yeah, thank you for those hot takes. That was actually a bit interesting to go through. But yeah, thank you, Green Bean. But the second hot take for this video is going to come from Thomas PK2SD. Hello, my friend. And your hot take is, Skybound was ruined the moment Naracon used Clancy to wish Lloyd and Cole away, rather than continue to manipulate the ninja to wish themselves away. Yeah, I agree. I do get what you mean. The problem that you do have is the fact that, unless I'm forgetting Season 6, Lloyd and Cole both used their final wishes. And the problem that Naracon had is that he can no longer manipulate them because of it. So, I understand why he did get Clancy to use him. But yes, it is that opening of it's Pandora's box, because then it's like, well, why didn't Clancy just use his other wishes? Because Clancy uses a wish to see where Nia and Jay were, and I don't remember what his third wish was, actually. That's a good point. But yeah, using Clancy basically to get to the ninja is not the best thing in the world, and I do completely agree with that. But obviously, how else would he have gotten them into the sword? Well, actually, he could have just struck them, because that's what Jay did. But yeah, it's a Pandora's boxing, isn't it? It's a really bad thing. And like I said, it does take away from the manipulation aspect of things. But I will also say, they never fully fleshed that out either, because we never really saw Wu's interaction. We never really saw... Naracon is not a good manipulator, that's the problem. Because, well, Lloyd explains it best. Because the ninja wished themselves away because they all had something they wanted, basically. So it was a bit... Yeah, it's persuasive. Well, it's a weird... Season 6 is a very strange season, just put it that way. But yeah, I understand what you mean, because it does call a lot into question. But the next hot take is gonna come from... Well, name pronunciation, Tough T. Joa, my goat. You are my guy for that. I appreciate that. Anyway, the hot take. People let nostalgia form their thoughts on the older seasons. There's good seasons, but if nostalgia wasn't in the mix, opinions would change a lot. Honestly, yeah. Honestly, I would say yes, because as someone who has been watching Ninjago since the pilots, I do think, even though I've been it's a very nostalgic show for me, I will say, but I don't let it cloud my judgment, and I do sometimes see people who do, because sometimes an objectively good season will come out, and then you'll see people, say on the Reddit, who will be like, oh, well, it's not actually a good season. And opinions matter. Everyone should have their opinion, and I respect every single person's opinion. But I will say that when the reasoning becomes, well, the older seasons are just better. Like, when someone says essentially that, it does make me go, well, you're not really giving the newer seasons a chance. So I do agree with you. I do think this is definitely something that a lot of people would consider if it wasn't a factor. But I will say that's honestly also why I enjoy hearing people's opinions when they've only just come into the show, because they don't look at those seasons from that kind of point of view. So honestly, yes, I do fully think that you are correct on this one. And while it may be a hot take, I definitely don't think it is, because I fully agree. And honestly, the person who replied to this hot take has it again, Symphony de Bean D. People, when they talk about the older seasons, they say it's better because of the redesigns. Like you said, Season 2 is better than Hunted because of the redesigns. It's just not true. The redesigns possibly saved the show, to be honest. I think that's a video in of itself. But I will say, yes, the redesigns is also another massive factor. So yeah, I'm fully with you guys on this. But yeah, thank you both. But the fourth hot take for this video is gonna come from Graham's News. And your hot take is, the merge was kind of unnecessary and feels forced. I do kind of like the outcome, new elements and stuff, but I do think there could have been a better way to do it, but I don't know. And honestly, I am gonna disagree with this, because I do think the merge in of itself has been the opportunity for so many different stories. Because before now, when it came to different realms, there was a whole thing about having to get there, how they're going to get back. It's a whole aspect, and something like that takes up an entire season. But now with the merge happening, you can see these entirely new environments, new communities, new ways of life, just simply in an episode because the ninja had to travel there. And honestly, it's kind of the best of both worlds, where people do love those seasons where we do see different realms, like season 9. We see season 5 have a couple of realms, we see season 11 do it as well. Those are seasons. That's the thing, there's the entire season that covers that idea. But the thing is, Dragon's Rising has a season where it goes to the Kingdom of Madness, and it's just a cool way to see it for a single episode. So honestly, I do think the merge has served as a perfect way for more stories, so I'm gonna actually have to disagree with you. But the final hot take for today is gonna come from Random Ananzaz. I think that's how you pronounce your name, I'm not entirely sure. But your hot take: Nia should have stayed merged with the sea and it would have made more sense. Crystallized Nia was pointless. And honestly, I'm gonna have to disagree. This honestly, for anything else, is just the fact that Nia, while has her issues when it does come to Crystallized, and while her being Samurai X I think is a whole different problem, I do think she still serves some form of a purpose to that season. Obviously she does have her moments with the mechanic, for example. I do think I understand where you're coming from, but also I do just appreciate where Nia came from. And honestly, because it's meant to serve as a final season for the show, it would have been a shame to not have Nia there in general. Even if she was just merged with the sea, I think it still wouldn't have been as good as what it could have been. So I do get what you're saying, I really do. But I think Nia needs to come back from that season. And like I said, it's just, that's a video for Crystallize in general. I do keep saying about how I need to review these seasons, and that's the plan. But yeah, I do think, while it makes sense, also no. And the person who replied to your comment honestly also has a good point, where they say that Dragon's Rising Nia plays a really good part. So I don't know how they would have handled that in terms of Dragon's Rising. But I do still get where you're coming from, because Merge Nia definitely needed a little more time, and I think that was their original plan, but ultimately they had to go with what they ended up with. But I do get what you mean, and again, it is an interesting one to consider. But yes, thank you very much for your hot take. But that about does it for this video, and let me know which ones of these hot takes you do agree with and which ones you disagree with, and let me know what your one is below, because I will always want to look for new hot takes for the next video, and I may pick yours. But other than that, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Take care. Okay, bye.